Good afternoon. My name is Alex Ansary. Today's date is September 20th, 2024. We've had really intense solar activity, so we're going to be channeling that energy here towards life coaching advice for men at staying free of the deceptions of this matrix. Now, on the other channel, 2025 countdown. Go take a look at what's there, and I'm going to continue to upload news that's traumatic. Be doing a lot more eating in and attempting to avoid spending money. I'm going to be reducing my coffee. The more sugar, the more coffee, the more exposure to basically what one man calls pornography, the more one can be damaged. And what he is describing as pornography, we're going to show you this clip, is booty shorts. He's seen where he is, and he's far away from me. And he's seen a woman with a bunch of dudes with her ass out. And I still can't get the image of her out of my mind. The woman who probably wasn't 18 at Walmart with a cell phone with really tight booty shorts on a body that isn't really, that looks too young, although her height is there and can reach up and be with physically an older man. She's got the height, but I sense she's young. And then she's naive and she's under mind control at Walmart. And the bad boy within me could have played a game with her and nobody would have cared. Okay. And I'm a human. And by the way, so I'm looking at her. Another lady's looking at me. Then I'm looking at her. The lady, look at me, look at me, look at the girl. Then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't this like that scene from Casino? Let's see if it's clipped. The eye in the sky is watching us all. It is. So it's very much like I'm at Walmart and then, like, oh, wow, look at that. Well, we're going to do this without clips, and this person's looking at this person and this person's looking at this person. And it's like just this triangle effect. You can pick up on the fact, and is that woman like thinking bad thoughts about me? Is that woman jealous? Because she's having said nobody's looking at her, then oftentimes those are the nice ones. Those are the nice ones. But as these videos say, okay, forget the clips. I'll have to figure out the ad blocker removal later. As all these videos say from the black man that I was watching recently and showing on the other channel, even those that are unattractive, women these days, will still be cruel and mean. What I've been speaking of intuitively without watching videos is that, oh my God, I'm doing grassroots testing, real life polling, without the screens, talking to real life women, without the screen, showing them my eyes and trying to be nice in the real world and get outside the screen. And there's no results. Zero. One person did say through a poll, but we can't verify it if it's real through email or anything, if they are watching. So we have one person that's out of, now I'm going to talk about this again. When I started doing media, okay, I wish I had a media marketing mentor to have me when I was 24 in 2004 do the following. Set up a newsletter from the get-go. Even shell out money for a newsletter in the early days of the internet to make sure that everybody that ever contacted me and liked me and said, way to go, dude, that's the most valuable thing that a person can have. Now, years later, we know that, but it wasn't clear to me at the beginning. Second, I could have set up a nonprofit, some sort of a business from the get-go. What else was I going to get into? Certain things you need to set up early on in the beginning. Yeah, I could have started with a stage name and done something with stage name, but through an email newsletter and an early business and subscription service and a lot, and having a business plan and having a post office box, which I don't have now, you basically can have a base of operations for growth. Right now, it would be nice to, now I remember what it is, to have business cards At that time, 2004, 5, 6, 7, in Portland, because at that time I was under some sort of like weird attitude or something. That was cable TV. Yeah, so what if you don't like cable TV? Comcast is awesome. This cable access TV thing. It was the age of the internet, and that is a time in which I should have done more like, you call it direct sales marketing. Come here for the most awesome information on all this crazy news in Portland. Hear me predict all this shit in Portland, Oregon for years and years. People could have come across me. And even back in those years, before the modern, this, that, and the other, OnlyFans, whatever, and I got to remind myself, people were pretty unconscious even then. If you want to go and criticize the party and the using people and this, that, and the other, which people did back then, you'd be cast out and you wouldn't have any friends. And so there's many people that have lived, throughout these years. A lot of that music that I glorify, the music, it's satanic. It puts women and sex over God. And then these songs that are about fly to the angels, and I watch it, he's talking about some chick. A lot of these songs that I listen to on YouTube, they're great. They're nice. But they're love spells. And they keep women in that sex object category. So if women don't want to be considered or called sex objects, then they need to look at and be critical of the world that they were born into, which is what has made them objects. But objects of what? Of creation. And why? Would we be hypnotized to see creating life as a bad thing? Because at this stage of whatever we incarnated into now, seems like it's expensive, which it is. And why is that? Is it run out of space? Are we run out of space? Or have we run out of, as people have said for years, places where we can live, where we're allowed to live, where it's zoned to live? There's plenty of places. I've heard it said that in Europe, they live more in harmony with nature and the trees as opposed to the United States, where the government owns so much land. So being someone that's lived off grid, that's not what this video is about, but I've been there. They're kicking people off their land. And then finding myself back in Babylon because of that. Even facing a bad situation in New Mexico, which some people know about. All because of what? Because I was navigating downward, south, to an area I had no familiarity. And when you're homeless, and people know that you're homeless, and you're making videos, it can be a bad thing, especially when you're talking about deep topics. Some of the topics that I remember talking about in New Mexico included Donald Rumsfeld, his presence there in the Taos area, other things. And government projects, chemtrails. So there's always a sense of going into reptilian territory in the United States and abroad, of being watched and never knowing it. So sometimes people get afraid and they're like, they're watching you, which I've dealt with for years. What are we talking about? Who's they? Are humans really certain that they know? They're not. Nor do I see them, nor do I ever hear them. But do I sense that our whole world is some sort of Truman Show? Not to encourage any type of schizophrenia at all. But there's something really weird going on. And just the way they can manipulate human sexuality is an example of that. Okay? So we're going to go to a clip this morning from an individual. We're only going to play a few minutes. He's talking about basically, when you try to involve yourself in people's like mainstream society, could be YouTubing, direct sales, here's a card. It could open up a can of worms. When you're dealing with people that don't want to be awakened, and they basically view it as a threat. Okay. This is the second video I've done today. I did a longer one on the other channel, but seeing as I didn't do a live stream yesterday, We'll do one here now.
Park, forestry, service, roads, etc., right? Normies are everywhere. And if I don't look like a fucking beacon of somebody who is just trying to sneak past everybody and make it to the finish line, these evil normies are fucking evil, and they're fucking vicious. They are cutthroat and vicious. They are creeps. They are weirdos. They are liars. So as I'm in their world, as long as I have a fluorescent vest and a pink hat, there's nothing they could do to me.
I think that his advice is correct as far as pink hat in the environment that he is in, if that's normal for that environment. This exact one, maybe not so much. Maybe a certain region, yes. I guess in some environments, I would say more like this one, dressing down, definitely not wearing a suit and tie. Somebody like me wearing my suit and tie walking around, especially if you're not even looking really, really nice to begin with. And you're like me, where you're like wearing a jacket, but you're not trying to look like $1 million. It's just a jacket with maybe some normal shoes. People might look around and go, well, who do you think you are? Or if you're at the mall in a suit and tie, which I did once, not tie, black people walk by and we're laughing loud. People nowadays are cruel by sport. Now there's more.
If I was walking around in a black fucking sweater with the hood up, kind of walking around like I own the place, those cocksucking normies will turn on you. They'll tell on you. They'll lie about you. They'll destroy you.
However,
the worst thing I ever did,
if you're in a certain environment that's ghetto, that would then be the norm, right? So then like the norm changes on region for region. You know what I'm saying? I'm an outcast, whatever region I go into, though. However, I do have something, if people get beyond that, to offer all these regions I've been to, past, present, wherever I'll be going.
In my life, was I tried to be a part of the normies. I tried to be a normie. And you know what it did? It fucking destroyed me. It ruined my life.
I have so many stories in my journals of me trying to be a normie in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. He's saying ruin my life. I could tell you about me trying to be a normie and get away from trying to make money on the internet. And I suffered, right? Some of you, a couple years ago when I was on the internet in Pagosa, that wasn't easy money, right? So a couple times I had to leave you on the internet and do work. I thought I can get away at that time, which I don't anymore, right? I always pay for my insurance. But at that time, I made mistakes and sometimes did not. Many times I did. At that time, though, I made I cut around the edges, right? Because I was in rural America, I could ride on the road, hardly anybody up there. I worked for 2 weeks and earned like about $1,000 working as a fry cook, flipping burgers at a place in Pagosa Springs where I was treated with gross disrespect and had to work around teenage girls that were rude and nasty and pretty and stupid. And some meth head girls that started some gossip that called me to leave. And then I got paranoid and recorded myself, just so you know, which made me seem like a weirdo. But I was doing it because the guy was talking shit who got out of prison was my boss. Long story short, I quit when I was confronted about my behavior. They didn't realize that I had paranoia, and I was just confronting, backing up shit because I know how they can be. And just walked off the job. Next, I get pulled over by the cops. So like recording myself, doing confrontations, planning to have like a dash cam. I have one bought, but I haven't set up. This is important now, man. People are nasty. I'm not talking about like your friends and shit, but what if you're dealing with someone's possessed? We deal with now false accusations and stuff. I dealt with something back in New Mexico a couple years ago. Like I wish I had like a special like camera that was 360. That would have documented everything. You know what I mean? And so what I'm saying is we live in a really cruel world where even filming and whatnot, I just have it kind of on his face. We want to continue on with
these people.
Like, things change by geography is what I'm saying. And
are soulless monsters They are sheep. Sheep are the stupidest fucking animal in the world.
By going down there and working for them and getting pulled over. Let me finish the story. I had to spend a lot of money, is what I'm saying. All the money. But me trying to be a normie, work a regular job, and cut around the corners, even though that's why it happened, that's still, though, the end result. You know? So I was down there going to get a paycheck or who knows what it was. And then I get pulled over next day for going only 5 miles above 25. Doing 31 in a 25. You know what I mean? And some of those like speed limit zones on certain roads are not necessary, but it's because there's a coffee shop there or whatnot. And so by me trying to simulate in a society like a lot of energy, you know, that I outputted for 2 weeks, I dealt a lot of shit that all went to the ticket. So I have a lot of stories like that. I mean, working really hard for money that went up in the smoke. And it's like, how did this happen? Yeah, I understand. I should have insurance. I got it. But still, you know what I mean?
Except,
and then I dealt with theories as to why that happened.
They're very evil sheep. And they will destroy the area I've ever been. But it originally is.
He gave me this advice. This advice is scary about reaching out to the public and the public being threatening and scary. And I don't want to believe it can be that bad, that people can believe that evil. So we debate about that. All right. All right. But people are evil inherently. And that's scary because they are capable of being cold. They're capable of being cold when bad shit happens to people. And it drives people like me and him to out in the hills and shit because we can't trust society. Okay.
And he's like,
and then when that happens and we're stuck out in society too long, we suffer and then we come back in society until we're no longer on the planet.
Normie, yuppie, Goyim people, they go in there with their little bags and they like fill up a little bag of like expensive shit. And it's, I don't know, it's like in style. They like buy a bunch of expensive shit, junk, food, whatever, hand products. And they get their little bag and they're like, and it was crazy. And I was in that store and I was just tripping out.
I'm going to be uploading the video of the guy growling, going, in Las Vegas. I haven't watched it yet, but go to the 2025 countdown. Instead of show it to you and stream it now and show you a bunch of videos, we'll just show this and come back in a minute. But there's a bunch of
way more yuppie in Normie than anywhere in California or New York.
It's a very crazy place.
Seattle.
And New York.
It just blew my mind.
And Portland.
And then the younger women in this town, you know how the Normie women, they wear those little booty shorts, right?
Right here.
And they're nice. I mean, it's nice.
And then so I talk about this experience over here on my channel. So we've got past live streams. We have videos here, and then one is called "Be Outside During Solar Storms," and that evolve humans. They connect outside of technology. Okay, and so we'll talk about that. We'll just the same concept I talked about in video. I'll just recycle here bullet points.
Attractive woman in those booty shorts. However, when you get past the lustful, animalistic side of it, and you comprehend what you're looking at pornography.
Pause. Do they see it that way? No. That's what I've been trying to communicate to women. They're dressing that way. And with those hot pink, he said booty shorts specifically. And I told you there's a specific shade. And 2 nights ago, did I tell you this story? Was it you I told you this story? Or was it the other channel? I'm there and she's there and she's very, tall, but young, thin, bony. And yet she's playing the part. And then the way she's holding the cell phone was very mind control-ish. Give me a prop here. We'll use this as a prop. What is this? What the fuck is this shit? Yes, master. Yes, master. I will hear. Sometimes I wondered if some girls were pimping themselves or some dude at the mall. But whatever. Hey, what do I know? And then you see these news. There's a headline there that I bookmarked for later. 13-year-old rape in the Bronx. Okay, save link. Upload later. 2025 countdown. I'm not going to go through this. Look at all this. Oh my God, the world is burning. World is burning. We must show all these clips. No. Finish this clip and get off screen. This has gone on too long.
Sodom and Gomorrah. No rules.
No rules. No
And I
rules.
was watching this younger broad, about 30. She's got on these tight white booty
30.
shorts, right?
They do that. They're doing that
And
40.
they're so
45.
tight, and they're white, that you literally can make out every part
Get ready for it.
of her
Get ready.
lower body. You can see her anus. You can see her butt crack. You can see her vagina just wrapped up.
He's not making it up. That should not make women angry. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not showing you the image. I'm not showing the image. There's an image of a woman looking for housing. And she's like, I got this much money. And here's my pic. And it's like on a Facebook group. And she's on a boat and she has her legs spread. And the whole detail is there of you know what, with the water dripping down. And there's plenty of comments and likes like, oh, yeah, I've got rent. Oh, yeah, boom. She's some female who's like, I'm new to Portland. And hey, the way, this is me. And like, wait, I mean, we're talking about a regular picture that I don't believe was photoshopped, that women, if they cared about their daughters, would, oh, honey, don't upload that video. Oh, honey, no. Oh, honey, no. And so we're now in the era of that friendly, motherly, fatherly advice that we men have within us. We may not necessarily be fathers or mothers, but we definitely have that, oh, honey, no, please don't. What are you, some sort of a pig? Women are not sex objects. Spreads leg like this. What? I'm not saying you're a sex object. I'm saying that there is an aspect of humanity, and not just men, but women that lust after flesh. And this is what I'm noticing more and more when I'm out there in the circus of the world. So I'm just going out and purging with this full moon stuff. With this full moon, I want to reach a cycle of what I've been doing with the cards, because I'm going out into a corporate America landscape, into places like Starbucks, and then I'm consuming their crap. So I'm feeling like I'm a number. And then I'm disappointed that I don't live in a region of North America where there's friendly rite of passage or even just behaviors for adults. Like, that's really necessary also for old timers, that they don't die, that they have some sort of communication. For years and years, I felt like I was dying from lack of communication, which is why I think you feel like I had to come back to talking to you, and why I do it a lot sometimes. And sometimes I feel like I'm overdriving my own channels. So I got to stop for a day, then come back and explode. But notice I'm doing this with the solar cycle rising. And the other day I noticed the blood red skies, and I was like karaoke to Judas Priest for the 100th time. And all these other crazy metal songs from the 70s. There's a lot of stuff that I've put out there on the other channel. And so it's not monetized. It's not something done for donations. But maybe it's time for me to develop some sort of a marketing strategy to start thinking outside the box and growing the strategy, growing the channel with new people. What I want to do now is read this comment from yesterday. It's a supportive comment. There's actually several comments, and I don't believe that I read them all on this channel. First of all, and I won't read the email, the name of the email or the name of the people that send the email to respect privacy, but it's, what are your thoughts on the exploding pagers, radios, and source systems? I'll just go ahead and share the news. Okay. I'll just go ahead and share the news. I don't necessarily know anything specific about it. Okay. Other than that, we will go ahead and share the news. Okay. This is a YouTube link. I'm having an issue on that browser. On this browser. For some reason. Walkie-talkies explode. First question is, are they made in China? So basically, I'm going to have to put together a new show, and I could pre-produce it with graphics, or I can just do it like this. I really don't want to put too much time in it. So that's happening. Is there something going on with the solar cycle and things exploding? Like exploding how? Overheating. I've also noticed, oddly enough, an increase in cyber attacks when there's solar storms. Why? I'm not sure. I'm not a techie. A techie that would develop an interest into solar cycles, and they're out there, would be able to explain that. There's been multiple supposed Trump assassinations in line with increased solar activity. And then as I've been mentioning lately, I've been noticing increased accidents. I had a brief accident recently, and I don't really need to talk about it. But what I can say is it was with a black guy. He was older. He was not crazy. He wasn't, going crazy on me. And you could think you're smart, and you could think you're on it, and you can be free of intoxicants and still be affected by the light driving when the light is coming down and in your eyes. You know what I mean? And that's happened to me more than a few times. You know what I mean? It's a little troubling, but what I can say is we have been gifted on this planet as men and women, but I'm speaking mostly to men because those are the ones that interact with me, that we were gifted with what I've said for years is brawn, strength, intelligence, and the ability to make babies, beauty. Then there's masculine beauty, but this applies to women too. So intelligence, other things too, but these three, this triad: intelligence, strength, beauty. And this world wants us, male and female, to misuse those things, our life, our energy, our abilities, our brain computing power, for people, places, and things, and not serving God. And so I see a lot of my peers, not to sound judgmental, but it is what it is. We men are what we are. My so-called peers in the conspiracy movement right now, I mean, there might be some great stuff that people are creating, but like a certain amount of trust has been broken between me and this idea of a movement, not just with me, but a lot of you. Whether it be one talk show personality that I don't need to mention, not that they don't do good things. He does good things. But I, as a man at 44, yes, 44, certainly don't want to be influenced like a young Alex Ansary anymore. To me, that's not what the kind of man I am. Not one that is influenced by other people's thought forms and speech patterns and rage and things like that. I have my own issues. I have my own ideas. And the longer I stay away from other people's content, the more deeper I go into my own truth and my own ideas. So again, let's just reflect on what he's saying here and just keep what we're saying. So if I go out there in this world today and I'm in public, I'm going to be subjected to seeing a lot of flesh. And then what needs to be understood very clearly, okay, is that we were born from a Gnostic perspective. I say that these bodies, that's why they believe by mainstream religion that God created these bodies. But what if we're like some sort of experiment? It's been an ongoing discussion for me to talk about the archons, how they're able to influence certain humans too, certain races in certain cultures during certain times with certain devices. And that's what they've got going on. They've set up this moment in time long ago, probably. The lifetimes of these beings being longer than a human being, and they can have literally like domain over certain districts. They can have domain over certain districts through cell phones, through people's minds, and literally certain people could be single forever in certain regions, even if they're decent and have things to offer on multiple levels. Personal trainer, spiritual guide, author, mentor. There's a lot of things I can do as far as videography, commercials, documentary, and then things that are outside of my scope of interest. And then I'm like expanding my documentary, which abilities production wise, but just paying a few dollars for like plugins for what I normally use for videos. There's so many ways people can't help me help the world if they wanted to. This was one of the topics yesterday, and there was a couple unsubs. But you see, some people aren't going to want to see that news. Okay. Should we go through the news briefly, just so you see it, so you don't even have to flip over there? We can do that. What you can also do, one of the things that I said, is get an idea of what somebody's about through titles. Okay. But are you okay with Dying Alone, Women of Earth? Right? 24 views. We streamed something from Sandman, someone that gave me a shout out years ago. I talked about how my attempts to give a Muslim woman, a woman with a hijab, freaked out by my attempt to even talk to her. So I don't know if they think that I'm Latino, if they're getting approached a lot, if they're getting threatened a lot, but there was fear. So there's none of my attempts to reach Muslims with the Jeeps have resulted in them actually following through, coming to the channel, communicating with me, or offering to take me to the mosque, or any of their brothers, sons, or husbands trying to help me, even when I tell them my last name is Ansary, which is in their Quran. So there was a comment that was left from somebody commenting on Sufi realities and basically saying the same thing that I've said, that he does not talk about the military industrial complex in the way that I do. So I appreciate him noting that. And I've left a lot of comments on his channel. It's frustrated me that he doesn't talk about Afghanistan, and that I have never been able to find like a Muslim woman from the Muslim religion or the channels or locally or from his channel. And the one that I did talk to, just by discussing some of my issues in past and the autobiography cliff notes, which you could see in each description, she's like, "Oh, fuck you, fuck this," and it wasn't the response that I had expected, let alone from a white Muslim. But we'll just leave some of the commentary that I might be able to give to that for videos that have already been produced. This guy never talks about getting rid of the military industrial complex regarding Sufi rowdies who I respect, who I've bought his books, which are elsewhere, and they're not cheap. Which would in turn get rid of the satanic paradigm, i.e. getting rid of the military industrial complex. That would get rid of the satanic paradigm we are in. Believing that God causes all the misery and poverty in the world is not in the Quran, as it is in fact satanic and something the Dajjal or Antichrist would say. Okay? So it's good to hear this perspective. It's good to hear his perspective, because I've been saying that for a lot. Like, I'm hearing a lot of this. A lot of people go, "God did this and God did that. And, this person's evil. There's almost like an agenda of the evil one to get us to not care and make excuses. When we, in reality, may have been, are we still alive? Are we still alive? Here we are. Maybe we can tell that we have been commanded within spirit to do the right thing. And then some of us are tapped in. And then even going outside, I went outside for just a few minutes yesterday when I did the live stream. And it felt immediately information, inspiration, and things to say within 3 seconds of going outside. So this whole getting outside thing, what I'm talking about promoting, is way more than just getting a tan or adjusting to the solar cycle or raising your libido if you're getting ready to make an OnlyFans account. And I'm just joking, or am I? Yeah, you're getting ready to make love to your partner or whatever else, 15 minutes of sunlight. And then if you don't release that prana through human sexuality, we'll have a lot more energy for other activities too, and strength. There's a whole science behind it. Your body is an interesting machine, but it's not necessarily well oiled and functioning in the way that it was designed to. And many of these beautiful, beautiful Latinas, bonita, all around me are so hot and sexy. But you give it 20 years, too many places to the fast food. Not that I'm any better, but I like to work out. There's a lot of people out there that just let themselves go. And they don't realize that unless you discipline yourself, unless you work out, if you become a product of your environment, and that includes being influenced by all things on your cell phone, and then just worshiping beauty and fitness by itself and being fit and buff, can leave out spirituality. And I'm always bringing spirituality into the gym, doing the sauna. Let's go back to the comment. The Dajjal will say, this is a person commenting to me, loving being miserable, the Dajjal will say, and a poor state of mind is following the path of Satan, which most Shias, Sufis, Salanis think is good, even though they aren't supposed to. Any of these so-called Islamic scholars who repeat mainstream news as the truth cannot be trusted. So I appreciate a lot of the content from certain people. Even I don't agree 100%, and I'm giving you examples of this because I've spent a lot of time promoting people. Now I'm going to read next quality comment number 2, which is longer than one paragraph in length. And it is the following. Begin now. Do not take this the wrong way, but I have come to the conclusion that God is judging this nation for all its wrongs done to the innocent and people like us. Women are going to receive their brought end of it. I'm going to read this without stopping. Even the Bible states in Daniel 11:37 that this coming Antichrist will have no regard or desire for women. Keep reading. 1 Timothy 4 is also a prophecy that this Antichrist system will detest marriage, which women, not men, benefit. Women will have no place in the coming Antichrist kingdom. Like it or not, God in his sovereignty will use the Antichrist as a vessel of dishonor to punish women according to their works. God does use evil to punish. God does use evil men to punish other evil people. Isaiah 45:7. I'll say it again. God does use evil men to punish other evil people. Isaiah 45:7. Complete. End of transmission. Okay, so interpretation. Now go to next screen. Get ready for the next screen. I will interpret that as in line with some of the things that I've said, that the hand of protection can and will be removed by God from certain regions when there's a lot of hatred going on. And there is a real hatred of good men that want to stop rape of women for sure. And I know right now that I can testify that I'm living that I feel hated. And then I know that I have given a lot of time to lusting after evil, but that Sufi has videos that I think about telling you about and showing you that need to be heard. We need to be focused on the things that matter. He has videos on the dark side of the Sufi, social influencers with the makeup. And he doesn't talk about the women necessarily negatively, but talk about social influencers, TikTok in a general way. And yet I get specific about it. He talks about regions of the earth that have harmed Muslim nations coming under attack. But if Muslim nations themselves have been corrupt, then they too shall fall. He seems to think they'll be safe. So it seems like the longer I listen to him, there's a lot of good stuff. Then there's stuff that goes, wait a minute. So it's a little bit of back and forth. Another one that he talks against is looking at negative images of women or women online. Although that can be difficult to not do that. When talking to actual evil women in the real world, I'm telling you, can almost be worse, bro. You know what I'm saying? We're men. Getting involved with negative anti-God women. And then like these videos I'm watching, there's many men now waking up to the fact, like I found out through recently, they're anti-God, anti-wisdom, anti-spirituality, anti-monogamy. And if there is monogamy like marriage, it might be a trap. You know what I mean? Because as the real role of men is up for debate. You know what I'm saying? Society has really done a number on us. So these are a couple of videos that I feel like I need to start showing you, but I'm just you could just see it. Okay, so I'm seeing more women all over the news getting hit and run over. That's bad. More fights in fast food places. I talk about how a lot of women worship giants, but sometimes giants get jumped. In Oklahoma, they got jumped in Stillwater. Okay, pretty girl, never said she deserved it, but she looks like a Barbie doll. So there are certain people out there that aren't paying attention that could become targets. And so the evil one puts people out there to act a certain way, right? And then creates content or websites for the vengeful people that are left out, and never want to blame short men. But there could be short men and other tall men, or the men that are rejected. And then I showed videos on the other channel of Wasp, Me Man, and showed you how YouTube will promote videos of couples getting attacked. So I'll show you in real time, days later, after I predict there'll be a rise in couples being attacked and promoting self-defense for everyone and having a plan with your loved one, especially if you have a good-looking daughter and you're white and you have a good-looking wife. Doesn't mean that if you have a fat or a perceivably less attractive woman around you, you can still be attacked. So be ready. Have pepper spray. Have blunt weapons like this little piece of stick that is the gong bell. Maybe a little Labradorite rock to say, stop, or I will call the masters of the inner planes. Seriously, if you deal with some sort of a situation, be serious now. Don't let them know you're coming. My friend in Portland would call it the element of surprise. He would promote the idea of being an inside fighter. he himself was a shorter stature at a height under 6'2", okay, of Asian heritage, who fought big black guys with big arms for many years and had to come in and do a sneak attack. And so if people see you being really talented and seeing your rhythm and how you fight, they can size you up for their attack. Me, I've chosen to show where I'm at anyways, meet myself on the bag anyways, define logic and reason for my lifestyle. I shouldn't do that shit, but I think that you should benefit from studying my movements, learning martial arts, hearing the advice that I have, being inspired by my videos. So let's go ahead and just dive into this. You can go to the channel to see for yourself. I just want you to know what I'm talking about there and here. I go there and here, there and here, there and here, there and here. I showed the clip from Terminator, Blood Red Skies, right? Stop letting zombies attract you. And then I showed you there's a white woman out there saying it's not Christian for a certain attire to be promoted because it causes lust. And then I also criticized her politely and said that, there needs to be also more compassion for shorter men. When she talked about men struggling with lust, she focused on a good-looking, white model who's tall. I'm thinking after I made the video, that I was too nice, that there's way too much niceness from some of these supposed conscious women on social media for the tall white guy who's already like the dude, who's already getting some, right? Are you following me? There's plenty of value in short men, and there is it can be a value in women that are not thin, women that are not promiscuous, women that are nerds, women that are geeks. You know what I mean? There is a purpose in women other than, and so my generation, right, has really made the archetype of the woman to be unrealistic, with the boobs and all that. And it's not fair, but now they're doing it to men with the Deadpool thing and Wolverine and someone doing a meme comparing then and now. That's another example of the bodybuilder worship. I've literally gone and given my card and stuck it in books at bookstores. Okay. I've literally done those things, and I've literally exploded with live streams, hoping that somebody would be attracted to my heart and manliness. And I've done live streams under the full moon and howled with the full moon for love. And it sure seems like we are in a dark matrix where godly men are suffering. What is true is this: I am not alone. Okay, you are not alone. Okay, and we men should not lose our shit on men of other heritages because of some of the news that's in the black men, white men. Thank you for the like. It is part of the Matrix program for us to look around at each other and then just be straight up pissed off. And then I said to you, isn't it interesting that they went to Iraq and Afghanistan and all those people got killed and shit, right? And all those wars after years and years of destabilization in America, right? The violent programming, but not just the violent programming, but bad male-female relationships and parenting. And then, boom, military-industrial complex, 9/11. Right. So the 9/11 event and a whole bunch of people just, yes, master. Oh, go overseas. Oh, that came about because of messed up shit that came about up until that point. We're now going to show you footage calmly without me freaking out or crying, because now I've already gone through the process of it. Now I need to actually do self-care, meditation with the gong bell to not hate women or believe they're evil, but to promote self-defense. But if people aren't going to listen to me or talk to me, bro, it is what it is. Move on. But don't hate. Just report, move on.
Suspects wanted for a shocking pair of attacks on the elderly on the Upper West Side.
That's right. Both
don't fall into
this
first step. Don't always assume it's a black person.
Punched in the
Twice
face
it's
on
not
West 77th Street.
Twice we can see it's
Short
not a
time
black
later,
person.
an
Okay?
81-year-old
It's not a usual
punched on
suspect.
66.
Okay, just to show
It's
the
the
point.
latest wave of
Other
violence
people do it
targeting
too.
the
What is
elderly
he? I
across
don't
the
know. He's
city.
a Neanderthal.
Fox 5's Ken
Look at
Green
this
is
guy.
live on the Upper
Where'd
West
he
Side
come
with
from?
more on the incidents and what is being done to protect some of the city's most vulnerable. Kendall.
Then old people all the time in New York, they're being pushed in front of the subway. All the time we see these stories pushed in front of the subway.
Stephen and Bianca, neighbors are still talking about it. These are two
Another story.
residents.
This just in: 13-year-old boy raped in the Bronx. Now that I'm looking at New York news and horrible things, the algorithm's like, oh, do you want to see more of this? Well, yes, but no. No, but yes. But okay, I'll save it for later.
Outside of their homes, not too far from their homes, before they're randomly assaulted by two men. And we spoke to some residents who tell us this could have easily been them. As the search continues for a man behind the brutal assault of an 81-year-old woman sucker punched while walking her dog. Police are now after another man
Ooga
behind a
booga.
separate but similar
What the fuck
attack
is
the
this shit?
same day just
Look
hours
at
before.
that.
It happened in front of 27 West 72nd Street on the Upper West Side on Friday afternoon, just before 2. Police say the man pictured here, carrying a bag over his shoulder, punched a 77-year-old woman in the left eye and then ran away.
We have to be very cautious for wherever you go.
Poor lady.
It's really scary.
But
The victim, who didn't end up going to the hospital, suffered from minor injuries.
we
but
need to
the
talk
injuries
about this
sustained
one.
by the woman's attack.
Pause. All right. This is not attacking. This is not saying the women are evil. Others can go ahead. I just can't. I feel like I can't do that, even if they are. And many are. However, the issue is this. Women need men in their lives, period. This is old news. I talked about the knockout game on women in 2011 when I was homeless, living with a woman who was straight evil. So me standing up for women for a long time documented hasn't done shit for me. Okay, so into that. That's whining. But that's science of me explaining cause and effect, that I've been trying to be vocal. And what has this world done to help me? So women need good men, and I'm not attacking cops, but it just can't be the cops. Men have to be involved, and women need to be then, if they're getting older, in environments where they can trust the men around them, not just cops. The men that live in their hotel, the men that live in their dorm, the men that use the bathroom, the men that live in their subsidized housing. They need to be, I'm not crazy, in environments where there's community. What was the topic of the other video? What was it? Humans, especially if they're evolved or in a reformed society, should be able to communicate outside of technology. So at this time in which we're most vulnerable of the grid going down, everybody's like this, as I told you, like that little girl. And as I said, if I was a player, y'all, I want to do something that's naughty, she was just waiting. And that's not good. Man, we're like in some funky animal jungle. Oh, God, take me back. I'm sorry. Bro, what do I got to do? Like I said, like either in this video or another one, if I knew the exact coordinates to get home and knew the exact rules, never do this, never do this, do this, don't do this, do this, I would do that without fail, I think. But to be honest with you right now, I'm very, very questionable of some of the things that people are focused on regarding certain things. But what I do know is this. People are way too lax about people getting killed and murder and women being sold and women being punched that are part of religion. And me, who is not a person, a member of any Orthodox religion, have not developed a religion or a belief system of just say la vie, of worshiping a woman over God. By me to serve God over woman, I've got to be like this man who's different than other dudes. There's nobody like me in my demographic in this part of America. Oh, there might be people with YouTube channels that are right-wingers. Oh, they're there. Left-wingers, they're there too. They're there in their camps. Mostly right-wing, though. The whole radio dominated right-wing. And so for me to be a voice that could be confused as leftist when it's not, you should know that, is crazy. And is very also nightmarish when I'm so different than Trump. But for me and Trump supporters to have so much in common because the concern about China, concern also about Hispanic gangs, concern about the deficit, concern about the true nature of Harris and Biden. It's just that I don't trust the other side too. We're going to continue this video. This video, I don't expect to be more than 59 minutes.
Caught on camera just hours later.
My hope is to not make multiple videos throughout the day, but to do more of these and other videos in the future that cover the geopolitical news. Like say a video in 1 hour that has 13 news items in it, basically, without deviating into other topics. So this is our obvious theme here, sunrise of our women under attack, and many fathers in this nation, many that are no longer alive, have lived through the nightmare of their daughters leaving them when they didn't abuse them because of the nature of free will. Maybe not every runaway was abused or molested by her daddy. And there's many runaways. You know what I'm saying? And then that's like a big discussion. If we talk about the runaways of America, we're talking about like women of various races, various ages, various demographics that ran away from good parents because they were programmed by an evil world, not to call them evil, but they became a product of the matrix. So we as men, we cannot be distracted right now by the woman in the red dress. I am drunk on my senses because the solar cycle awakens the senses in the same way that a good bowl of, which I don't have right now, of good old indica cannabis, or maybe you want a little hybrid like me and you want a little bit of up and down, a little bit of those cannabinoids. Someone's roasting right now. Just, yeah, I'm just mimicking that. I actually don't have any. So when the solar cycle comes, a guy like me, libido goes up, thinking goes up, speaking goes up, strength goes up, workouts at the gym go up as expected. Tone goes up, definition goes up, endurance goes up. Like one guy came up to me at the gym, right? I think I said this already. And he's like, man, your intensity is, I thought he was a dick before. But there I am doing something so intense that he's like, I can tell he's a little pull a Kramer there. He's a little, he'll come up after I'm hitting that bag and he'll be like breathing in that loosh. So imitating those knife hands. Get ready for the knife hand video. But, I have a part and it really hurts me to see a woman being attacked or seeing her boyfriend attacked, even if I feel like the giant guys are getting it all. That video proved to me when you watch it, basically, that you can be a giant and you can be targeted. Now, I wasn't there, but when we look at news, sometimes we may have thoughts and we're never blaming them, but we could maybe get inside the mind of the predator and go, what was it that caused them to target them? Leaving aside theories as to God's wrath and whether a protector or not, what was it from a street self-defense? Was there anything about the time, day, location, behavior that, not to say that they deserved it, but added them to the risk, and could that risk be minimized? And then we're going to say this in close. They may have been drinking and acting a fool at 2:00 in the morning. And they came across some dipshits. Thank you. They came across them dipshits. And the giant man who's had never been to fight. Okay, so somehow through, and then they could have been loud and boisterful, and they could have been acting away, and they could have been sitting in that truck having a bad night, eating Jack in the Box, going, fuck this shit, bro. Fuck this shit. My bitch, this shit. Let's get that guy. And maybe they weren't even watching pornography. And the other thing that comes to me is there was a violent gang rape that happened in Pagosa Springs off grid. I don't know if it happened off grid or where it happened, but I remember reading about this nightmarish thing that happened. And mainstream pornography wasn't even out then. In other words, in that situation, we can't blame it. Then someone else might go, well, that's why, says some feminist who likes it. Pornography is good because it prevents it. I'm on the fence on that. Maybe with some people, I don't know. I don't think something should ever be allowed or promoted on the line. And I'm not going to talk about it now. But certain levels of brutality and inflicting pain, and I don't really want to talk about it because it doesn't seem like it's popular, but I think that we really should. We really should talk about this video is going to be about 59 minutes, like it's a regular TV show that I'm going to put on the air. So final thoughts. What we see here and what we're shown, and we're so far removed from the awesome sexuality of the 70s and 80s with what we got now with these stupid-ass websites. But imagine all the cosmos and planets, that which we know, that which we don't know, and different types of sexuality that could exist in different realities with different rules. Not all the rules that we have here are right regarding those things on Earth. And as I said to a woman that I bought this vape from, and I gave her the channel, but she never came. And she looked so innocent. She looked so cute. I told her about nice guys finished last on this planet. She looks, they want to play that game. Their eyes open up wide like, oh, I never heard that before. Or I lean in and go, one way that I know we're in hell and that evil rules the world, they have tight regulation over cannabis and alcohol. But not these horrible websites where horrible things happen. And I don't ever describe what websites. I don't even say the word X-rated or pornography. I say websites, knowing they know damn well what I'm fucking talking about. How the fuck can you live in America? In cell phones, there's no check and not know what I'm talking about. So I don't speak explicitly. Just a little wink, wink, nod, nod. I know, lady, that evil rules this world because there's this programming for people to be abused and be slaves. Then I get that. All righty, so that'll be XYZ, and then that's what it is, folks. We are in a world now where as men, we are sex and money objects, or we are rated based on what we are, this, that, and the other. money-wise. And then if you're too spiritual, too conscious, too godly, excuse the word, not to say that we're like God, but godly, or wannabes, to be spiritual, godly, should not be wicked and evil and abusive. Godly, not God, godly. Just in case anybody's like, what? No, to be godly, to be spiritual. I'm seeing other people use that word to be like the Godhead, to be like, yes, we want to be like a good servant that God will look down upon, and you get to pass, bro. You get to be one of this. I don't want to be using that 144 terminology to be exclusive. I want to be inclusive. Who knows how many of you are going to be anointed and rewarded to get out of this joint. But it is that. It's a joint. It's a joint with prison energy of shanksters and gangsters. I'm going to end it now. Thank you so much for watching. On the other channel that I've linked you to, I think it's good for me to, in a non-emotional way, just re-mirror these news videos that I'm talking to you about. And behind the scenes, be in a meditative, calm state of consciousness.